Okay then guys, we've got a bunch of products at First Man. So first up is the men's lifestyle supplement. This is free shipping worldwide, and if you pay monthly on the subscription, you can get an extra 10% off. We've got our life setup, marathon mindset and framing course, where we talk about body language, we talk about attracting women, we talk about how to build your life in a certain way to make yourself appear more attractive to the world, how to get the best results, etc. Fantastic course, got everything that you need. A lot of things that I can't talk about on this channel that is all in the course. We've got our streaming platform at 1m.video, which is our higher form of content, series, documentaries. We're really pushing to get these out over the next few months, guys. We're taking this to the next level. And then finally, we've got our new 1M House Members Club, which the links are below. You can check out the website. There's way too much to explain. In short, we buy houses around the world. You live in them. If that sounds of interest, check the link below. Now, straight into the video you came here to watch. Okay then guys, in this video we're going to be talking about ego and how ego makes you insecure and nervous. And so many guys think that they suffer from confidence issues. They think it's something that's wrong with them. You know, the reason why they never have the drive to be able to start a business. They never have the, confidence to be able to approach and speak to a woman without getting nervous. They just can't do anything on their own. They always think that people are watching them, people are judging them. And this is why as you get older, that sort of gets bred out of you, so to speak, or at least, gets trained out of you, because as you get older, you care less about certain things. You care less about what people think of you, about what the world around you is perceiving. And you also realize the most important thing, which is the world doesn't actually care. Like, the world doesn't actually care what you're doing. I described the other day when I went and met Hamza and his team, I was describing a situation where I saw a video years ago where some guy walked into a store and he was like, watch this. Like, why do people have confidence issues? He was like, watch this. And he was like, hey, and he mentioned something. He was like, hey, how about this weather? He was like, it's terrible, right? And the person behind the till was like, yeah, terrible. And he was like, anyway, have a good weekend. And then he walked out, he was like, have a good Saturday or something. He walks out and he was like, look, the sun's shining, the weather's amazing, and it's a Tuesday. He was like, people just don't question you when you're confident about things. And the point he's making as well, like, he was saying that the whole world are actually like NPCs. He was like, you can say and do whatever you want and it just doesn't matter. And as you get older, and I've discovered this as well, it's true. And the thing that makes you extremely, anxious and nervous, it comes from ego. It always comes from ego, and I'll give you some examples. So, if let's say the easy example always to use is women. So, like, if you wanted to approach a woman, but you were scared about it. You're scared about it for just silly reasons. Like, everyone's going to judge me. Everyone's going to laugh at me. If she says no, I'm going to face public ridicule. It's all these things, but they're all ego-based, because if you're not worried about that, then it's not going to affect you. But number two, people don't do that. Outside of high school, people don't do that. So, I said to you guys in a previous video, it's a very thin wall that's holding you back. This ties into, and that thin wall is usually ego. It's like with a business. Oh, I want to start a business. I've got a great idea, but if I do it and it fails, it's going to be so embarrassing. Everyone's going to laugh at me. It comes from the exact same place. Like I said, it's all ego-driven. And do you know what makes it even worse? The higher kind of starting point that you have, the more you have to lose. Let's phrase it that way. The more you have to lose, the bigger your ego. So I'll give you two examples, okay? So let's say your dad is really rich. So you're a rich son, and your dad gives you like 2 million at 18. Go and do whatever you want with it, son. You start a business and that business fails. That's humiliating. That is extremely humiliating. If you started with 2 million and it still failed, so that would put a lot of people off, like, even starting in the first place. Do you know what I mean? They would have a lack of ambition. It's the same with, like, let's say you get a handsome guy, right? Tall, handsome guy, jacked, amazing genetics. The reason these guys, like, people always say, oh, these guys don't approach women because they're too handsome, women are coming to them, so they don't need to. Well, it's part of the reason, but women don't approach that often, so it just wouldn't really make sense. The biggest reason is
if you approach somebody and you're handsome, you're tall, you're in shape, you're all these things, there's no reason for her to say no. So if she does say no, it's a black mark on you. It's a massive reflection on you and your personality and who you are as a person. That's humiliating. That is completely different. And that is why, you get these guys that are like considered just ugly guys, normal guys. They're like short, fat, whatever. And they have all the confidence in the world because they're like, I'm already here. I've got nothing to lose. She's not going to tell me anything I don't know. If she rejects me, I'm already living there anyway. Whereas the guy who's got this impression of himself as being like some top studs, if he gets rejected, now he's got this underlying insecurity where he's like, my personality sucks. I'm a handsome guy, but I've got shitty game. Nobody wants to be that guy, and this is where ego comes into play, because once you can switch that off, once you can stop caring, like people always make these videos, oh, just don't care. Have more confidence, just don't care. It all stems from ego. Because if you didn't care about the consequences of how people are judging you, what people think of you, what people would say if things go wrong, which, I had it in the early days of my business. I would have all these ambitions, all these dreams, and all these business plans, and people would be like, it's never going to work. I mean, it's happening now with 1M House. Like, you guys have seen it. Like, people just making up ludicrous stories like, oh, Kris's business made a loss in the first year. Oh, he's a scammer. And it's like, for 4 or 5 years, I told you guys to reinvest every penny you make early on. Well, I reinvested every penny I made in my first year of business, hence why the business made a loss of like £2,000. It was my own money going in, plus all of the business profit. That's smart business, but people will use that against you. And, if you had an ego, that's going to affect you, and you're going to be like, oh, the world's giving me ridicule, people are making videos on me. I just don't care. I just don't care because I know what I'm doing is solid. And that's the mindset that you guys need in life. No matter what you're doing, you need to completely you need to train this. You need to completely switch it off, because the day that you switch it off, there's no consequences. What is a rejection when there's no one around? Like, if you were the only person on earth and so was she, and you went over and tried to talk to her and she was like, no, I'm not interested, you would be like, never mind. Maybe, who cares? Do you know what I mean? I'll try again next time. Like, you'd try your best, and if she was still like, no, you'd be like, never mind. Like, if you were the only people, let's say, like, if you were the only people for like 10 miles around, and you tried to hit on her, and she was just like, no, not interested, who's going to know? It's not really that embarrassing. Do you know what I mean? The only thing that people go is, she's going to go home, tell all her friends that she rejected this guy. That's ego. Because if you don't care about all of that stuff, then you're not going to get nervous in the moment. You're not worried about messing up. You're not worried about her saying no. You're not worried about a rejection. You're really not going to be worried about anything. It's the same like you go for a job interview. And, if you think to yourself, if they say no, it's not personal, they just didn't think I was right for the job, you're going to be pretty calm, aren't you? You're going to sit opposite that person. You're going to be pretty calm, and you're going to be like, well, all I can do is just answer the questions to the best of my ability. If I don't get the job, I don't get the job. The nerves go away once you remove the ego. You're like, well, I'm not... a lot of people, this is the problem with a lot of people in general, but, it's people in general, men and women. But for a lot of men, and obviously this is what this channel's about, it's thinking that you're special, thinking that you're some special, like, the hero's journey. I was talking to Jack Denmo last night. Like, Denmo's obviously a YouTuber. Go and check out his channel. Great guy. And we were talking about the hero's journey and one of the books that he read about. It was a psychology book regarding men. And he was saying that, guys always picture themselves like saving the woman. Like, they'll be in school and it'll be like the building starts to burn down, and the first thing they did is when save the hot girl, and then she falls in love with him. It's the kind of Spider-Man story. And he said to me that men within 30 seconds will risk their life to save somebody, and they're 60% more likely if there's people around, if there's a crowd. That's because of status. That's the angle that he was saying the book was going with. But that's also massively ego-driven. Do you know what I mean? That you want to be that hero. And so many guys almost feel like they're some like anime character making a big comeback. Like, oh, you watch the world. And it's like, you're not important. Once you realize that people in the world have got their own journeys, they've got their own decisions, they've got their own preferences. Like, nothing's personal against you. You were just not right for that person. You were not right for that job role. You were just, not that person's cup of tea that day. That person doesn't like you, and that's fine. They don't like, I don't know why, but like, who cares? They don't like you, but that's okay. It's almost like understanding. It's like theory of mind, understanding that other people exist in the world. They have their own opinions. They have their own preferences and whatnot, and it doesn't always align with yours. You know, and it's like, I approached girls when I was younger that were like they had kind of, you know, you knew that their boyfriend was just like some nerdy guy, like some fat little goth or something, and you were like, I'll steal her easy, and she's not interested. And it's like your ego's going, oh, but why would she not want me? What an idiot. Like, her boyfriend's just some fat guy. But it's just like her personal preference. As you get older, you're like, maybe she just enjoys spending time with him more. Maybe she just feels like happier with him. Maybe she actually wants somebody that doesn't look that great, who isn't going to leave her, and that's just her personal preference. It's nothing to do with you, ever. It could be the words you said and whatnot. It could be her like prior experience, and that overlaps, and you're similar to an ex and stuff like that, you know. And same in like a job. You go for a job interview, and it's like, oh, we've had a candidate like that before. He's going to be trouble. That's got nothing to do with you either. Do you know what I mean? Like, the closest thing is the words that you said, and somebody goes, but they're aligning it with, you know, somebody else might love the words you said. I went for a job interview once at an estate agent in London, and I was being my normal self, which 170,000 of you love. And, you know, people that I've met in my life have loved that kind of persona, that energy. And every job interview I'd ever been for, I'd got the job straight away. They're like, I love this guy, I love his energy. This guy was like, I used to be in the army, and your type of person, he told me straight, which was weird, but he was like, your type of person is arrogant. He was like, you want to excel in the workplace and be top dog. He was like, this is a team. We work together. I think you'd be a problem. That's a weird thing to say, but yeah, whatever. But it's just, that's what I mean. It's somebody else's personal preference. What, like, when I was in finance, just straight after that, the finance guys were like, we've got a killer. Like, this is who we need. A guy with, you know, who's a little bit arrogant, who thinks he's great, full of confidence. Like, he's going to get so many, you know, financial sales over the line. Like, this guy's going to be brilliant. The estate agent who wanted to run his company as a team didn't like me. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just each person's personal preference. And once you are free of ridicule, once you are free of wanting everybody to love you and like you, once you're free of other people's opinions and whatever, you're just free to live. You're just free to do whatever you want to do, consequence free. And it all starts with dropping your ego. I told you guys before, confidence isn't real. Confidence is just what remains when you don't have anxiety, when you don't have fears, you don't have limiting beliefs and whatnot. It's just a state that remains. And if you remove that ego as well, you end up just in this calm state where you're like, I'm really happy with who I am. I'm really happy with my life. I know who I am. I know what I'm striving towards. I'm just going to head that way, and whoever wants to come with me can come with me. If they don't, then it's not a problem. I'm going there anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's like picking up hitchhikers on a long road journey. Yeah, come on then. Do you want to jump in? Oh, there's nobody here. Yeah, probably not that person. Like, it's not really that deep. Do you know what I mean? And that's my one thing for you guys. Like, drop the ego. Drop the ego. It's like I can see it through 1M House clearly as well. Like, people loved it when I was a YouTuber working in like a small garage. But once you become like a lot more successful and you're doing big projects and you're like, it's $3,000 per year for a membership, people want to find problems with it, even though there's no problems with it. Oh, it's a scam. And it's like, buying people a house, how can it be? Like, it's the dumbest notion ever. But that comes from ego. It's like, I'm not in that guy's position. He's been teaching me for 5-6 years. I've obviously not taken his advice because I don't have $3,000 to put into this. If I did, I probably wouldn't be angry. And also, like, we were at the same level when I started watching his content. He's gone here and I've barely moved because all I do is get a dopamine hit from a video, and then I actually go and masturbate and watch TV and ignore everything. Oh, there's a new video, motivation boost. You can see this in people. And then the ego kicks in. It's like, fuck this guy, and it comes out as anger. And you know when people get scared, they act irrationally. You know, like somebody jumps and they're like, fucking hell, why would you do that? You stupid fucking idiot. You've always been a prick. And it's like, whoa, where did that come from? All because they got scared for a moment and they lost control. Ego comes from the state. It's the same state. You know, you see it in people's weakest moments. Like, they get rejected and they're just like, that stupid bitch, she's a slut anyway. Like, it's just the lowest level stuff you'll ever see. And as somebody who feels like he's definitely dropped his ego in the last like 2 years, I think going to sparring was a massive factor in it. But, you know, life in general is, I think losing your dad and stuff, I think you really change as an individual. But for you guys out there watching this, you know, homework, if you want to work on yourself massively this year, drop your ego. Just try and drop it as much as you can. Now, that doesn't mean you can't be like a confident guy. You can't be self-assured. You know, you got to be a little bit arrogant to make it in this world. But, you know, no fear of consequences. That's the one way to get ahead in this world. I'll speak to you guys soon.